This is Gippsland FM, your community connection, where we connect as a community, share what's going on, and enjoy the wonderful things that we have to offer in our region. The weather today has been a bit cloudy, a bit overcast, cool. We've lost a bit of that warmth, but we can feel that humidity in the air. And tomorrow, Wednesday, will be a top of 19, a bit cloudy, so no rain. And then looking forward to Thursday, top of 24, and lots of sun. This is Business, Wealth, and Mental Health, the show that explores how thriving businesses, wise financial management, and peaceful relationships are good for your mental health. And in the studio with me today, I have the lovely Joanne Campbell. Joanne, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you, Damien. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you on the show. Now, take us a little bit, because you're a Traralgonite, is that correct? Yeah, originally from Traralgon, grew up?
Yes.
And tell us, let's go back in the Wayback Machine, and tell us, what was it like growing up in Traralgon?
It was good.
Yeah.
You know,
what were some of your
used to walk to school with my best friend.
Yeah.
And every day we walked to school.
What about when it was winter?
Yeah, we even walked in the winter.
Because it gets pretty cold here, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. Yeah, but it was good. We had good friendships.
Yeah.
Still got those friendships today that I went to school with. We had a great group.
Yeah.
We were heavily involved with the Young Christian Society, which was a Catholic thing that our local priest set up.
Okay.
It was great. It brought everyone together. We had movie nights.
Oh, fantastic.
It was fun.
Was that when you had those movie nights, was that a collective of people coming together, or was it in a hall, or was it?
No, it was down where St Michael's is in Traralgon.
Yeah.
I think where their office is now, there was a little house they had there. So it was just where everyone went from school, and you didn't have to be a Catholic. It was, everyone from every background.
Projector, or was it? Cause I remember
it was a projector. It was funny. It was so good. It was a projector on the wall.
Yeah.
And we all, we just all got together and had fun, and it was great. It was not far from where I lived as well, so I could walk there.
Fantastic.
Because Mum and Dad built a house. I was the first one in my family after 5 brothers to be born in Traralgon.
Yeah.
And my dad came to Traralgon because he could see that there was, good business here, and they were going to build the power station. So he saw an opportunity.
So when was that?
That was in 1962.
So that was when W Station was going to be on the plan, I'm guessing.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And he had a butcher shop in the main street.
Yeah.
It was great. Every Friday night they used to dress up in Chinese.
Oh, wow.
And people would come.
Yeah.
It was great. It was just...
So it was open on a Friday night and there was dress up.
Yeah, and everyone would dress up. Yeah, it's Asian night. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And
so was it open for business, or was it just
open for business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Next to the newsagents that's in Traralgon now.
Yeah.
And my dad always had a foresight that, but he said, in 50 years' time, there will be new energy.
Yeah.
And he was right. Things progress. And so he just started up with a butcher shop, and then had
Did you
the
get
abattoirs.
Involved in the butcher shop? Were you working in there?
Yeah, I worked for my mum and dad when they actually bought a little meatworks up on the highway out in Traralgon East, where the motel is as you drive into Traralgon, across the road.
Yep.
And, so we all worked there as a family.
So you've got a bit of commercial experience as well from that?
Yeah, it was quite a big abattoir. So it was, we used to supply meat right across to Adelaide, to mostly Adelaide and Victoria, to Coles, Woolworths, Bilo.
That's one thing I don't think people appreciate, that our region actually is quite a substantial exporter.
It is, yeah. It's quite, we're very lucky here because, we've got the people here that have got those skills that can start business, and I feel lost a little bit of that, and I think sometimes council makes it a little bit hard for them to start up.
I've heard that a lot, actually, speaking to people. It's really difficult for small business to get started up.
And it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You don't want to break the rules, but you don't want to have the rules that tight that you can't function. Yeah.
Well, it would be part of, when you look at your dad starting, because you obviously watched your dad and your mum do this business.
Oh, yeah, it was from nothing.
Yeah, and what were some of the key things that helped make it work, do you think?
I think hard work.
Yep.
My dad was not scared to try anything different.
Yep.
And one thing my youngest brother brought to my attention, said, our grandparents came halfway around the world to give an opportunity to their children.
So where are your origins from?
My grandparents brought my dad out from Ireland.
Okay,
yeah.
Fighting Irish.
Yeah, and from that they settled in Moonee Ponds.
Yep.
Which a lot of Irish did.
Yes.
Back in that time, that was in 1928.
Yep.
Yeah, and then my grandfather came down to Warragul.
Mm-hmm.
Then from Warragul went up to Bairnsdale, and my dad was in partnership with his two brothers and my grandfather. They had an abattoirs up there.
Yep.
And then my dad decided, because he had so many sons.
Yeah. How many siblings? Irish family.
Irish, so he decided to come down to Traralgon.
Yeah.
But they went all over Gippsland. Like, they had a shop in Hayfield. They had one in Maffra.
Yeah.
Bairnsdale, Traralgon. My grandfather ended up living in Warragul, and he passed. That's where he passed. And
okay.
Yeah, and it was.
It's a nice legacy.
Yeah.
Spread that everywhere.
But my grandmother was an entrepreneur.
Really? Okay.
Oh, she was.
I don't think that's sold enough, or people talk about that enough, because there were a lot of women that did that kind of thing, that were very strong in entrepreneurship. Tell us a bit about your grandmother.
Well, my grandparents separated before I was born.
Yep.
And she bought this big house in Baldwin.
Okay.
And it was like 6 or 7 bedrooms, and she rented the front of the house out.
Yeah.
To construction workers in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But she locked that second half of the house off, because my cousin Teresa and I used to we used to go on school holidays all the time.
Yeah.
Like the 2 eldest granddaughters, and she had all it rented out. She used to collect the rent every week.
Yeah.
It was in Mangan Street. It's now still a Safeway car park. She sold it to Safeway.
Yeah.
Woolworths. And then she nursed the Coles founder. She was a private nurse as well.
Wow.
And she also nursed Tommy Woodcock, the Phar Lap trainer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When he was unwell. And
love that.
But she was great. And then she had a house here in Traralgon. She bought a house in Traralgon on the very first house in Traralgon it is.
Yeah.
And she rented that out to Hutton's, which was a small goods.
Yeah.
But she was a real entrepreneur.
She got out there and did that. And what did you take from that as well?
I think I learned. Yeah, I learned that from her. I've got a skill, I guess, that I can help.
Because you've got a bookkeeping background as well.
I have.
You understand the numbers and how they work.
So my dad also, we were probably one of the first abattoirs to buy livestock on the computer back in the 1980s.
Yeah,
we were like a test case.
So you weren't using it for computer games, you were actually
we were actually working. Yeah, every Thursday night we'd get the description of the cattle.
Yeah.
So it saved us sending a buyer up to New South Wales, because it was so costly. So we would buy by description on the computer. Yeah.
So that speaks to innovation, that you're quite open to innovation and doing things more efficiently as well. Is that right?
Oh, very much so. And I did not think in my life that I would be able to have that skill. Like when I was on the DEB committee for Lavala, and it never made money. And the first year I helped the principal, and we sat down and I said, I think we could make this into a fundraiser. And so the funds from that we did make, we made quite a large amount of money, went back to those year 11s that they could spend it on what they saw fit. Because it was their year level.
The organisation never made money, and then you came and sat on the board and through some strategies you put in place. And Wow.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to get people to follow that or to change?
Some were okay.
Yeah.
Some were a bit negative to me, because I'm an avid op shopper, and I found things in op shops to thing, and one was fairy lights, and they told me they were useless, but all you had to do was flick the switch. But it worked. It ended up working, but they were good at the end. Like, they're all there for the same reason. They want to see their kids flourish. And
I think with that change, people tend to get a little bit, they're a bit scared. But then once they see it's okay, all of a sudden they embrace it. Is that what you experienced?
Yes, yeah. And they say, "Oh, it'll never work." But it does work. It does work, it's about giving it a go. And then my parents lost the Meadworks to a lot of issues. There were a lot of and it wasn't nice. But they got up the next day and they got out and worked again. They lost everything, my parents. But we started again and everyone's doing well.
So tell us a bit about that resilience, because it sounds like you learned a lot from that as well. Because you yourself, if I understand correctly, because from your family perspective, you raised children by yourself as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Tell us about that.
My parents helped me out. That was difficult because, I was left with nothing.
So you're in a relationship at broke apart, and then you had the kids and you started from zero.
Yeah, so the eldest was 4 and the youngest was newborn. But I decided I had to work right through every child, right up to the day I had them, and went back to work virtually the day I did have them.
Wow.
And then I decided to take a few months off when I had Liam, my youngest, who's 30 tomorrow.
Wow. Happy birthday, Liam.
Yeah. And he... I had to go and just I wanted to get a part-time job. I was left with a half renovated house, so I quickly finished that off, sold it,
so
came
just a
into
minute.
town.
You were a single parent with 2 children.
3.
3 children. Yeah. Sorry, 3 children. And you've got a job and you also renovated a house at the same time.
I had to, yeah. So I had to clean it up a bit so we could sell it.
Yeah.
And,
How did you manage the time on that?
It was very difficult. Tried not to think about it, just did it.
Just got on with it?
Yeah. So, and then, sold the house and came into town, and then I decided to work school hours. And, I worked in a vet clinic for 10 years, and from that I was able to help I had this idea of doing treats. So now my brothers have got a successful business in doing the treats in Traralgon. It's huge.
Oh, wow.
So they're doing that, and then... just got on the committees and just loved it. And one thing I did make sure, I did not want my kids to be victims. So they had to do a sport. Doesn't matter what it was. And my eldest son is gay. He found it hard with football. He loved swimming, so we got into swimming, and Traralgon Swimming Club were great. Brian Ford helped me out. He would pick Tim up because he was a good swimmer. 4 a.m. He'd say, "Joanne, I'm coming past your door. I'll pick Tim up." I will, and the discipline was great. I will not, and the fairness, and I've got a lot of time and respect for the Traralgon Swimming Club, for Brian Ford, the hard work he does out there. Then also the netball. My daughter is now a B grade umpire.
Wow.
She does for state netball. And if it wasn't for Jan Engies, I've got a shout out to Jan Engies, the greatest umpire at the Traralgon netball.
Wow.
And she always, if I see her, she always says, "How's Tara going?" And that's a great success. And Liam was more into the tennis with Graham Charlton. It was great with him at the Traralgon tennis. Saw potential in Liam, but Liam's one of these kids. He's got that Campbell thing where he eyes something out and he thinks, "I don't have to move. If I know the ball's coming that way, I just go like that." He was. He had this skill. He's got a good skill. Set.
So that balance, and it sounds like from your experience, you had a lot of community support. There was, and you said your son was gay. Embraced in the community.
And he was, and my brothers. They've not been detrimental to him, and they're real staunch, manly sort of things, but they're not critical.
So they embrace the person.
Yeah, they do, and they embrace anybody. And my father instilled that in us. That doesn't matter whether you're a garbage man or a CEO, you treat everyone the way.
Treat people with respect.
Respect. And I guess.
So that filtered through from you, and you filtered that through to your children as well, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
We had bad moments, Damien. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it because it was very, very difficult for me at times.
Life isn't this smooth thing that everything goes smoothly. It's how you deal with those difficult times that test your character and shows your character, I think.
Yeah.
Is that what you experienced?
Yeah, but I think I came to breaking point.
Yeah.
One time with I felt the way my daughter was being treated at a certain workplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt I sort of went off a little bit then, and I thought, this is not right.
Yeah, and you stood up.
Yeah, I stood up, and sometimes I wondered if I just went a little bit too hard. And I learned from that. I did learn.
Okay, yeah. But sometimes that's what we need, I think, in leadership, because you need to know where the boundary is.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that there was a boundary that was crossed, and from that point you went, okay, I've got to stand up here.
Yeah, but I think I might have done it a little bit the wrong way. We've got a very sort of, not aggressive, but bang, bang, bang,
So that's something I'm listening to you talk now. It seems like you're not only you've got your boundary, you know where that line is, but you're also reflective of, okay, how can I do it better next time?
That's what I did learn a lot from that. Yeah. And I think you learn as you get older. And
there is no instruction manual to life.
No, that's right. And we're all different. Like back how we were brought up is not how I brought my children up, because it was a different era.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm very proud of my son that's gay, because he's a midwife at the Royal Women's Hospital.
Wow.
And he does very well there. He's very well respected.
Yeah.
And that respect comes from, I think, from his background, because he's very, and I always say to him, if you have a really hard case and you need to talk about it, you go and talk to they do have good support services there.
Yeah.
That, and everyone needs it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And tell us about, because you mentioned committees before. Now, I understand some of the committees you've and you know how to raise funds, but one committee in particular, if my research is correct, which comes from you, is that you actually raised a substantial amount of money for the region. Is that right?
Yeah, for the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What happened there?
Well, I'll tell you how it came about. Because I got so upset about this issue.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I'll put my energy into swimming pool, because we really needed one in Traralgon.
Yeah.
Didn't expect to get the big thing that we got. We weren't campaigning for that. I had Bronwyn Kerr, there was other women.
Yeah.
There was Lorraine Paulette, fantastic woman. Everyone tried.
Yes.
And we could not get this funding because our council was divided.
Yeah, okay.
They don't want to hear that, but unfortunately it was very divided.
Yeah.
And
well, people don't realise that with council, that the councillors need to make a majority decision, and if they're not working together, it makes it really difficult.
Yeah, well, it does. And so I stood out the front of the Grand Junction Hotel on Melbourne Cup Day and decided I got a petition. Council wouldn't accept it because it wasn't in their format, so I had to go and do another one.
Yeah,
so that was
Never
interesting.
Heard that before.
Yeah, and then so we got the signatures again, and then everyone said good luck with that, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
And then so I started writing to everyone.
Yeah.
And then when I was on the Traralgon...
When you say writing to everyone?
Oh, to politicians. Every politician across Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
So you were writing letters to every politician saying funding
this
for the
is what,
Traralgon
yeah.
pool.
And that sort of didn't go to... got this excuse every week, and then... An opportunity came out where I could meet with the Premier at the time, Daniel Andrews. He came down to Traralgon.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of business people in the room, and he just gave me a format and asked me what I thought was wrong with the area, and I told him.
Yeah.
And
straight talker.
Yeah, and then he said, well, you write to me every week.
Yeah.
Now's your chance.
He knew who you were.
Yeah, he did.
Fantastic.
And I just said about the pool, and I had all the stats there, and then about...
So when you say you had all the stats there...
how much it was costing and how people weren't using it and how much it was taking.
Yeah, okay.
And the cost of it. And then Hazelwood was closing. Everyone knew it was happening. And then I saw him in Tarwin Street, and he tapped me on the shoulder and said, I've got some news that will be coming your way, and it'll be good news. And then he invited me.
Daniel Andrews saw you, tapped you on the shoulder and said,
Yeah, and then he invited me to the pre-announcement, and
oh, wow.
And it was the biggest funding out of that $280 million to get the pool.
So part of so the process, if I understand correctly, you were very passionate about what you wanted to do. And then you were committed and resilient because you wrote a letter every week. I'm thinking Shawshank Redemption here.
Yeah, well, that's how I felt like. It felt like that.
Getting the library. Yeah, so and you wrote every week so they knew who you were. And then when an opportunity came and you were there with lots of very big business people and you made your case and it worked.
It did. And look how many happy people there are over that. And I just got told yesterday that the water aerobics at night's booked out and there's a waiting list. So what's that saying?
Well, people obviously love it.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. So that leads me to the next question because we're getting close to the end of the show, but you are also running for council. You're a candidate in the council.
Yeah.
What made you want to run for council?
Because I feel I've got a good skill.
Yeah.
And I can talk to people. And I feel I can talk to people and business people.
Yes.
And I respect people that run their own businesses because it's not easy. It's very difficult with all the new regulations. Yeah. But they try, they keep going.
That's the thing, if you can have that connection, because from my people that I speak to, and I know a lot of big business people as well, they would love to invest here if they have the right environment. Which is that, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. And I wonder how many people, I haven't been in the sort of the know probably the last couple of years, but I would just wonder how many people would think, I'd go down there if you got the support.
Yeah.
You need to support these people and they can do it on their own once they get going.
Yeah.
And
you know the language to speak to them. I mean, obviously you know the language to speak to politicians and how to make things happen because you.
I don't think that goes down too well. I wondered.
Well, it worked.
Yeah, well, it did, and it was.
It's similar sort of thing with the business type people because you have that. I mean, you were in business from when you were a kid, essentially, because you're working with your parents, so you understand what is important to a business owner.
Yeah.
And because business owners, I don't think people fully appreciate how much business owners care for the community they're in.
They do. Yeah, we just got a donation from a business for the Traralgon Christmas Parade. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't a big amount.
Yeah.
But it was something.
Yeah.
Because we asked. I asked the question: Would you support this? And they do, but they don't want the accolade. They want to know that they're doing something good for the community.
Yeah, exactly. We had the same thing in Maui with the fireworks. One of the businesses stepped up and supported putting funds towards the fireworks as well.
And that's what it's about.
So with running for council, what do you see as your vision? What do you see as the potential here?
Well, I think Latrobe Valley would get a lot of potential because I have got that knowledge and I hope that I would be able to bring something.
Yeah.
Because I feel that I'm not tied to anyone, that I have to step out of the room and, conflict of interest.
Yeah.
I feel I've earned respect from people in the community and, good leadership is just listening to everyone. That's what I have learned.
Yes.
And you're a good leader when you've brought up good kids. That's my thing.
I love that. That is awesome.
I don't care what anyone says. If you bring up good kids,
Mum and Dad, you're awesome leaders.
Yeah. Well, they are. All parents are leaders.
Well, that's exactly.
Yeah.
So now, if you were to, what would be your key thing that you would stand for in the community?
Well, the first one is, I like to see the skate park go ahead in Traralgon.
Yeah.
I think that's important for our youth.
Yeah. Because
they're hanging around the streets. They've got nothing to do.
Yeah.
I think we've got a bit of a homeless problem starting to happen. The tents are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be looked out for and before it gets out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'd love to go on the audit committee because I'm a stickler for numbers and just checking where the dollar is going.
Yeah.
And that it's going to all the community, not just to one little piece here and there.
And also being used efficiently.
Yeah. That's a big one. And I like to work for a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a Stephen Covey fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, you get that from listening too, don't you?
Yeah, and sometimes you've got to walk away if it's not going to be a win-win.
Yeah.
But when everyone said that you wouldn't get the pool money, and I thought, oh, gee, maybe is this going to be a win-win or a win-lose? Then I thought, no, I've got to keep going.
Yeah.
It will happen. And when they said they were going to give us 280 million here, I thought, wow, there might be money in the pool. And I was the first one at the LVA.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, you're a bit early, Joanne. We haven't started yet. And I said, oh, wait. So I did. That's I waited in the foyer, and it cost me a lot of money too. It did cost me because it was a lot of downtime, but I've made it up over the years.
Fantastic. And now the big question, why should people vote for you?
Because I feel I've got the leadership skills and I've got empathy. I feel I can.
You're the only person I've heard say that so far.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, I listen to people, and I do feel for people that are struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people get themselves into a situation, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
There's so much out there that, and I don't like being this person that I can say everything here. Yeah. I'll do this, this, and this, but will I? Because I don't know until I get in there, really, if I get voted in.
Yeah.
But, I went door knocking today, and I listened, and someone said, oh, Newman Park's a mess in Traralgon.
Yeah.
I said, okay, that's a good thing, because that's something.
It's feedback.
Yeah, it's feedback, and you could go to council and say, hey, Newman Park's not good. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And follow it through. Don't just do a pathway, but follow. Say, how did you go with that Newman Park? That's what I hope people will see, that when they vote for me. I'm not going to be this one that just gets on and flick through the papers and, item 1, okay, yep, done, dusted, just question.
Fantastic.
Question everything. That's the main thing I
think that a lot of people love to hear that. Joanne, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the show and share your thoughts. I'm sure a lot of people will put the details. This will be on video as well for those who've missed it, and we'll put your contact details in there. Thank you very much for taking the time.
And thank you for having me. It's been great. Thank you.